Hello, everyone, and welcome to our show. We're with Dr. Laitman. Hello, everyone. Hello, Nitza Mazoz. Hello. And on our previous conversations, we started talking with Dr. Laitman about the topic that interests people most, I think, money. We hear from Dr. Laitman how is it possible through this central thing in our life to start developing a new kind of consciousness. And Dr. Laitman, continuing the previous conversations we had on this theme, we'd like to get deeper into a picture that I'll describe now, and then the three of us will jump in together and we'll take it from there. You pictured some future picture that you see this factor of money in our money, in society, in our lives. And we'd like to go through a process together with you that will take us from our current state today to that future picture that you have depicted. We would like you to take us through this kind of a course with a couple of meetings, and every time we'll try to focus on a certain aspect. All of these aspects will have to do with money, and we'll try on each such meeting through the things that you will teach us to gradually acquire this new awareness for ourselves that will bring us, the broad public, to that place that you have depicted. Now, on this conversation, in order to get into this simulation, Nitsa and I will really be like students on a course that you're giving, the theme of which is changing our attitude toward money. Nitsa, could you focus us on what would we like to talk about today? Okay, we'd like to focus on a new way of thinking. There is a very known saying by Albert Einstein that we'll not be able to solve our problems with the same way of thinking that we created our problem with. Now we have to create a new way of thinking. Now, when we think about that, I've scrutinized before this show. I went, asked, talked to people, friends, what is the common knowledge today about money? So I was told different things like money drives the world, makes the world go around. Without money, there's no life. I need a lot of money in order to realize my dreams. And from here, I've learned that actually this kind of thinking is what programs all of us. This is the kind of thinking which is common knowledge among the masses and the broad public. And the very first question is, what kind of a new way of thinking should we develop with respect to money? In the past, people were much more reliant on money than today. There was no social security, pension, health care, different trusts, funds, and mutual help, different kinds of systems within society for single mothers, different other problems, battered women, and more and more. And people needed to have for all of these things money for each and every case, that if this comes, God forbid, they'll be able to cover it. Kesef, money in Hebrew from the word kisui, the ability to cover for something. I need a cover for when I become old, that I can't, that I can no longer work, but I'm still alive until I pass away. I need money for my wife when she gives birth. And they need some kind of a sum in order to provide needs for her and for the baby, the necessary needs that are not all in all in the family budget. I need, God forbid, if I'm ill, to invite a doctor, to pay for a place in the hospital maybe or something. Even you need money in order to bury a person. And vacation, if I want to go on vacation, I need money. In short, I have to put lots of personal trusts for myself in order to cover myself for any case. Humanity saw that these things, they are similar for each and every person, and accordingly has created such services that you don't have to care for your pension. At your working place, a certain sum is taken for that reason. And same with health insurance. It's not exactly automatically happening, but you can donate a small sum, and because everyone pays and not everyone is ill all at once, even if you need some kind of a expensive treatment, because there's a lot of money in that cash box, then you can get treatment. You don't think about that. There are hospitals, there's a system, and so on. Same with respect to if you're ill. If you're ill, you can be, suppose, 20 or 30 days a year, you can be ill. A woman that gives birth and she gets a certain sum of money and so on. Single mothers, there's social security that helps them, and so on. That even though a person doesn't think about how does he cover these things, but society has made these support systems so that each has a cover, as if he has money for it, and being a part of society already gives him the ability to use all of these services. Now, will we go forward the very same way? It's clear to everyone that these are good things. Therefore, humanity had eventually come to it and developed, and the more advanced the society is, the more it covers for different things. We see that, suppose, the unions, the workers' union, or in the Scandinavian countries, there's a much greater cover for many more cases than we have, and so on. To an extent to which a person, he gets married, he gets a month off, he and his wife, in order to have a honeymoon and privileges, and the society is in favor of it. We can open these things to more channels. Why not do it? Suppose now in Israel we merited that kids from the age of 3 can have free education. It's also a cover from the government. It's a very important cover. Schools, of course, I don't have to pay for it like in the past, and therefore only the privileged individuals could receive education. There are countries where it is easier, and there are those where it is harder to get a higher education. But suppose when I was in a social country, I grew up in a social country, it was for free, and even people, they were given scholarship. Students were given a scholarship, and I could live on that scholarship only almost for a whole month. And you see that we can find different such states in life when we stumble upon this on different ages, in different ages, that everyone goes through it, and society, it cleans from the total sum, from all the citizens, a part of their salary, and puts it in a special fund in the bank, in different saving programs, the secure saving programs, and from there it pays for a soldier that finishes the army and so on. Suddenly it was decided to buy everyone gas masks. Also, they decided, and Social Security gave them money, and they bought it for the whole population, and so on. Meaning these things, they can extend, expand, and we, even though everyone's working and everyone's paying for it, and maybe part enjoy and part don't, but we decide that it is beneficial for us to do it. It's a social attitude, approach, well known, and it eventually brings us to a state where can we extend these things? Suppose to give people large variety of vacation resorts, so they'll go there for free, Like today, you can buy a week in some hotel and rotate with, I don't know how you call that plan, but so I have, suppose, 2 weeks a year off, and I can take my family and come to some place, and there, for free actually, I get all the services and all that I have, and I come back home, and that's it. We can also, of course, extend our studying to higher education. We can add to it different courses for elderly people and also for those who have to learn throughout life. And now, too, we have different courses from Social Security if you want to change your profession and so on. So we see that our advancement, our development, it necessitates us to go in this direction where the money, the cover for the different things that you spend, it is worthwhile for it to work in favor of society only on condition that it will be used correctly, not politically, and not for it to be in a kind of for there to be a kind of to use it in a wrong way. That's a problem. Society in general, citizens, they have to examine all of these things, of course, keep guard, but all in all, these are good things because we see that if we return a person all of those sums that we are now taking from him in order to sustain schools and kindergartens and hospitals and everything, and we'll tell him all of this is yours. Suppose you have another third to your salary. For sure, we will stumble upon that situation where he will not keep that money for time of need. He'll use it, and when he will be in a time of need, he'll fall in the arms of society, and there is nothing that we can do. How will we cover for all of that? So it's good if we do that and leave him as little as possible, and for sure that in all of the different forms of life that he will go through, and all in all the people that will go through it, it'll all be kept by society, by the country, and this is how we can be sure that we will have less and less needy people that aren't supported in any way and so on. And therefore, we actually have to extend these things more and more in different directions. Let's see what else is important for us to do. If a person from the age of 3 has a cover for different for kindergarten and then school, and then he's in the army, and then maybe we need a higher education, maybe we need to extend that, or maybe in specific professions where this is something that the country truly needs, then maybe put that in priority. Now we do that kind of anyway. Someone who goes to study in in different specific schools and different boarding schools that can serve, that they get a profession that can serve the country later on, then it's being subsidized, and burial is being covered, and so on. It wasn't so in the past, and now it is. And now if we see that people are extremely worried for their basic needs in life, for necessities, where their salary, for their salary to be enough in order to cover a home and all of the services that you get at home, water, electricity, gas, different other services, town services, and food, basic food. Maybe we have to also advance in this direction. Maybe we should really necessarily make a general calculation in a city. How much do we really need to pay, all of us together, for water, for gas, for electricity? Maybe somehow we can calculate. The problem here is that we have to educate people for them to keep this what they use. Because without education, we'll suddenly see people spending much more than they do today, wasting much more than today. But with respect to the basic package of food, suppose, maybe we can do that. Let's suppose take from every person, suppose 1,000 shekels a month, or even less, I don't exactly know how much. But we will provide him with, suppose, stamps that he can come to a shop and take whatever he needs for a month, products that he needs for a month. This is what you need for a month, and please, and every week we bring him his basket of food, whatever he needs. He chooses the things that he needs and so on. And then at least we know that people are not starving to death, because I see advertisement that 1 million children in Israel are under the poverty line. So maybe let's protect them somehow. Meaning those services that we as a society have taken on ourselves with respect to school, pension, illnesses, hospitals, and so on. Let's take this on ourselves. Of course, it has to come from some source. Eventually, it comes from our paychecks, but we'll divide it so, meaning that the rich will pay more, the poor will pay less, but everyone has to eat. And the basic food basket, it's necessary for everyone. It's like Social Security. Whether you're rich or poor, you have the same Social Security. One kid you get for that. X sum, 2 kids. Another sum, but it's the same. I think that a developing society, and even not a developing society even more, because there are even greater problems with respect to the basic needs. Therefore, I'd say that this is the most preferable thing to do, because nonetheless, we don't leave people on the streets. We don't want for them to make a revolution or to have other social problems, because the problems in every country are the same, or civil war or whatever. If we provide a person with so-called bread, then by that we did what we had to. He already has that, and he doesn't get it for money. That who knows what does the husband do with the money, if he's an alcoholic or something, or the wife does something with the money. But this basket for sure is at home. All the rest of the problems, if they did different things that aren't the right things to do, maybe, then that's their problem. They have to take care of it through other organizations or relatives or whatever, but at least food, what each and every body and each and every person needs, that you have. This is something that I'd take care of. I'd also extend the participation of voluntary organizations for people to get organized, to have storages where you can store suitcases, carriages, different things that a person doesn't need. There are plenty of things that we put someplace at home and then throw it out. And also they lay there for a few years until we throw them out. So instead of putting it there and then throwing it out, put it in a storage. If you'll ever need it, you'll come. You can get maybe not your own, someone else's, doesn't matter. And this way we'll collect things. Also working tools that we don't need at home. Different kinds of things. I have plenty of things. Even I repair something at home. The different things that are left over that I don't need, even toilets, bathtubs, whatever. Take it, please, instead of throwing it out someplace. Meaning we can store for sure different things that each one of us, half of his closet for sure is unnecessary, and kids that they grow out of a certain age and so on. We this way can do not only with clothes or different things that we need at home. We can do that also with our professionalities, our craftsmanship, what each one of us can do. We can get organized in different circles and give each other services that we can't pay for anyhow. I'm speaking about people who are getting into such a restriction where they're needy of certain services, but they can't pay for it, and they don't have it, and therefore their whole level of living deteriorates, and they deteriorate into different problems. Let's do it differently. Among us, there are accountants, lawyers that people can't pay. A private accountant or a lawyer will help them. There are really such organizations, but nonetheless, for there to be a bit more. Among us, there are animals, doctors, that if I don't need something, that maybe I don't have to go to the hospital or something, but to just go to someone who lives next door or something like that. To have more openness between people, where we cover each other through such services in which one shall help his friend, that it's not through money, but through social kind of donation that each donates to society. So on every door it says, I give psychological counsel. Once a week, 4 hours. And there it says that I'm a kind of a doctor. Also once a week I volunteer. And so on every door there's a list, and even there's a central list somewhere on some billboard in every neighborhood who does what. And we don't have to cover these services with money, but we already we remain in the framework of services, and this actually saves a lot of money for everyone, as if I got another 1 or 2,000 shekels a month for my salary. I go overseas or on some vacation here. I don't have to buy suitcases. I go and take a suitcase for a month or 2 weeks or something, and then I give them back. And when I give them back, I pay another 5 shekels or 10 shekels for taking it for service, and then they renew either the stock or for the sustenance of that place and so on. These are things that you can make a financial calculation how worthwhile it is for each and every person, how beneficial. We have to understand that would we had cover for each and everything, would have been thinking about it, but life, it makes us think about that. So if we cover ourselves with such things until we maybe make, I don't know, round tables for sure, and workshops, and maybe concerts. We'll have different activities, classes for children for free, and not that I pay some 1,500 shekels for some class for my child or whatever. But there is a storage for bicycles, and there is someone who fixes the bicycle because he's a professional in that, also does it voluntarily, and there is someone who organizes a bicycle circle for children, how to ride a bike, and so on. Each one of us, we dedicate a bit more time, and especially there are among us, and we already see how much how the number of unemployed among us is growing. They get the same services as everyone, and they participate. Really, on a full day of their work, on a full work day, in all of these things, so it is worthwhile doing. And eventually, what does a person have left? What does he have to care for then? If he more or less has what to clothe in these storages, even though it's not the first class things and the things, these are things that went from one person to another, but nonetheless he has what to wear, he has what to eat, he more or less has a pension, social security, health care, different things. He has the minimum things. And by this, we already can reach a state like it says that a problem shared is a problem halved. Meaning not the rich and not what I want, what I feel like I do and get and can allow myself, but the cover, the money, the cover for it, even though I don't have money or I barely have any money. I get Social Security there or something, but I have things, I have everything in order to exist. I have no reason to go to the street and cry that I have no bread. Everyone has bread. But if you take to the streets, then what are you lacking? That, like you, most of the people, they live like you. There are those that live better. There are those that live much better. That's true. But like you, there are many that live like you. And all in all, also from the rich, we take a lot of the fat in order to compensate for the basic needs for everyone and so on. Because otherwise we will deteriorate into a state where people don't know how to keep the value of money. They will spend these pennies that they'll have left for who knows what. The government already now is more and more raising the taxes and raising prices. There will come a time where there will be 1 million people unemployed. And then, in this case, they can't pay 1 million people unemployment. But there will be unemployment, but it'll be half or a quarter or who knows how much of what it costs today. Because where will they take this cover from? The government won't have the cover for it. And then what will happen? It is worthwhile for us to arrange such systems that we ourselves care for it. Maybe it is beneficial for us to make sure that somewhere next to our city there are certain places where we grow tomatoes and onions and something. There are professionals among us. There are those that this is their profession. Let's make an agreement with them, and this way we'll provide for ourselves and so on. Meaning, I saw also on this one special TV show that today people, even in Europe, on their roofs, they want to make really places like greenhouses with all the necessary conditions. They have winter there and so on to grow for themselves vegetables. That it makes things easier for them nonetheless. For all the necessary things. So, and we all the more because for us it's so simple to do. We can do a lot if we organize the public so that for hard times, and they will come for sure, the hard times. What you've just described is a series of actions and actions of doing things in practice, which is a kind of result of change in attitude that maybe earlier started in a different way of thinking, but it started naturally in humanity a long time ago. This is why we have pension and social security and health care. Started a long time ago, these social things. Yeah, but this is maybe to take care of our basic needs. Yeah, but it's all basic needs, and clothing, it's also basic needs, and electricity and water and all that, it's also basic needs. So let's say that maybe all of these basic things that a person needs and everyone needs, maybe you just gave us a kind of a thought of how, through really the development of a culture of giving each other services, we can reach a state where society can keep a certain line for there to not be someone whose basic needs are not covered for. Were we rich, in a rich country like in Scandinavia or somewhere, then the country itself would have done it, and we ourselves wouldn't have had to engage in voluntary activities. But since we're in decline actually, and a pretty sharp one, then it is worthwhile for us to do it ourselves and wait for the country to do it because the country won't have any money. And therefore, it's worthwhile for the citizens themselves to do it through connection between them, through mutual support, through understanding of how beneficial that is. And here, undoubtedly, that first of all, there has to come some kind of an explanation, where that explanation explains what does a person have to think, how good it'll all be for us. We're talking about money here. I save you a lot of money. I'm coming to you in order to explain to you how to save, how to enjoy things that today you don't have. Do you have circles for your classes for your children, extracurriculum activities? No, you can't allow it. Can you buy yourself a new garment? No, you can't. You think that you will buy a refrigerator and you'll have enough food in order to finish the month? I'm not sure. I'm giving you a tip of how to get out of this situation, how to, supply yourself with these things. And besides different other things, suddenly your pipes explode. So there's a plumber living on that street, and the same that we are guarantors for him, he's a guarantor for us and these things. But again, it's also a cover. It's money, but this kind of cover, it's not felt as money, but it's felt as reciprocity, as reciprocal help. Like earlier, we lived off each other, I for you and you for me, and all of that was measured by money. Now it's measured by a different kind of cover, the cover of a mutual attitude. But because we have no choice, and otherwise everyone will be harmed. And this way we see that everyone benefits, and we respect people who donate, and really we help others. And there's a lot of public work here, ceaseless public work. But eventually our kids and everyone else starts growing in a completely different attitude, in a mutual, common, collective attitude. And humanity is advancing towards mutuality, even though there are ascents and descents in it. But we see how earlier the family was organized together, and from it came a village where usually it was an extended family, like a clan, and then they connected together into a city. And in the city you have already different municipality services, because you have to provide everyone with water, gas, electricity, and other services like cleaning and so on. And we see that everything is headed toward connection, a broader and broader connection, and later on a country, and now it's several countries like the European market and so on. So the only problem is, can we do this in the framework of a city or even a neighborhood? Can we? Between countries, it's kind of hard because there is the resistance and hatred and a prior history of war and so on, like we see in Europe. So it's hard for them to really unite into one country. But in a country where there is proximity among the people, or at least in a neighborhood where everyone is a part of our neighborhood and so on, yes, it is possible. And by education, we can reach the broadening of these horizons of education. And these borders, these boundaries, we really have to count them in money and cover. How much can we add more and more people for that circle of mutual reciprocal services, the richer we are. It's like a bank that expands, or some or some company, commercial company that grows. The same with us. It's a number of experts and people. We really become an empire where we are not that needy of others. And we can really go out like a vast body with respect to, like a large body towards the electrical company and health insurance and so on, and sign with them special contracts that we want to get electricity in this way, this and this price, or with the water department and so on, whether water company. We have power, and here we can even save money. I feel that there are like two processes developing in parallel, meaning if I already reach a state where I am in trouble and I hit rock bottom and my needs are not fulfilled, obviously I'll do everything. I'll turn to others, agree to, for cooperation and everything. Now we're in a phase, one phase before that. We didn't yet hit rock bottom. We're on our way, but we're still in a state that part have more, and we also know that the theme of money, it gives us a sense of independence. We don't really like to rely on each other, and here we need this new way of thinking. Here you simply have to start explaining to a person what home economics is. How do I sustain my household? What kind of a salary do I have? How much do I use? Electricity, water, fuel for the car, gas. If something breaks, how much do I have to put aside? Suppose 50 shekels a month for the things that might break or something. Suddenly the plumbing goes or something. How much do I have for clothes, for food, and so on? If we show a person all these things, then he'll see that he doesn't have that. How can he finish the month? He doesn't. Always here and there, it's he's lacking. And an average family is in 20,000 shekels minus in Israel. So that means that you live, that you feel that you have money. It's you simply have in your hands like cards for children that play with it. It's all a bluff. It's all a lie. You don't have that. The moment you got your paycheck, make a calculation, a monthly calculation, it'll see how much you're lacking, not how much you have. You have a minus. So, if we explain to them rationally, seriously, what's going on, I think that we don't have a problem to convince them that it is in their own favor. Maybe do it this way, maybe do it that way, and by that we actually save. At least you know that you will not be lacking money till the end of the month. You don't have to go into overdraft. You don't have to increase your minus, your overdraft. Maybe you can get it for free from the environment that have it and they don't need it, and where did they throw it, and so on. I talked several times with people that work on where you throw things away at the at the central junk pile. They say that they find their things that you can literally take back to the supermarket. You find good things that they're working, and people throw them away, and so on and so forth. We don't understand the potential that we have in this. And therefore, if we will merely explain all of these things, the extent to which each person can get more money, as if money, another 1,000 or 2,000 shekels a month at least, or even more, I think that there will be no resistance. I'm talking about a special public, of course, not the elites or even the middle class, maybe not even them, but an ordinary person, which is most of the country. I think that he feels it strongly. Same with respect to many other things. I understand that it's hard for a person to say, I don't need my car, because it's his feeling that it is his car. True. But soon he won't have one at all. With the prices of fuel and so on, how much can he drive? He'll calculate every meter he's driving. And then better if we maybe have some kind of a park for cars or something, a car lot, um, collective car lot or something. Or maybe we'll even go to work or different other places wherever you have to go to together, carpooling. Meaning that the new way of thinking is developing in a person only due to the feeling of his troubles and so on. No other way? Yes, that's through education. That's what I'm aspiring for. I don't want to reach a state where we're in trouble, we have no choice. That is exactly the place for consciousness that opens a new way of thinking that makes me want it. Yes, but nonetheless, a person needs both. It's called the middle path, not through suffering and not through studying and education, but something in between. The education, too, that we educate someone, we have to show him his benefit or loss if not. And therefore, this is how we go. This way, we can bring them to a connection eventually. We are the ones that believe that people who unite, besides accumulating, besides providing for their needs and better level of living and so on, they discover a special force between them, which is the power of connection, the force of harmony that exists in nature. Let me give you, I'll play for you on a piano, like something seriously off tune, mixed up like a child. Or out of that, out of those same sounds, I'll create a harmony. What's the difference? The only difference is that those sounds, those notes, are in harmony in a special order between them, so there's a great force, pleasure. Same thing with us. Each one of us is pulling the blanket over himself and so on, and therefore we have waste and confusion and nothing besides that. The moment we start uniting together, we create a harmony, and out of that there is a truly new force in it. This melody, this inner force that we feel in the connection between us, that adds a person the level of living, health, a feeling. It gives the person the sense of life that costs a lot of money, that standard of living, and you can't buy that for money, to such an extent that I think that we have to turn to that. So here, on the one hand, we need to prepare a system of explanation that could come in many different forms. It could be clips, theater, ordinary explanation, different experts that will join in economy, psychology, kids education, grown-ups, and so on. Could be a lot, but eventually to prepare people for a state where they will agree, they themselves will agree, they themselves will want to be, to live more together. Where would we try to play a game of associations? I'll give you a sentence, which a kind of a thought which is programmed in me and programmed in many people, and you will give me that same sentence in a new way of thinking. For example, money makes the world go round. I'd say that it's not money, but the deficiency, the desire, makes the world go round. And the money only covers for that desire and even nullifies it by filling it up. And afterwards, when I fill the desire, then it's again by money, so I don't have a good feeling. Again, I need to want something and try and get it, and when I fill myself up, that very moment I have a certain pleasure, and that pleasure immediately goes by, and I need a new deficiency, and again to fill it up, and so on, ceaselessly till I die eventually. All of life is trying to catch the fulfillment deficiency, and I also need the deficiency. If I don't have a deficiency, I don't have pleasure, I don't have a desire for anything, not to hear anything, not for nothing. I'm in depression, I have to take medicine. Otherwise, I can't hold myself alive. Such a depression that people commit suicide and so on. Meaning the deficiency comes first, the desire comes first, and the money is only to cover that deficiency. And instead of the money, I can cover myself in a different way where the fulfillment will be deeper, more emotional, and more lengthy. That is very important, more lengthy. It is worth my while for me for sure, because all of the pleasures, the greater they are, they go by and that's it. I worked for an entire year, even a few years. I bought a car of my dreams. In a week's time, I'm already going down there in the morning, start it up, I drive around, I start feeling, I already know this, that, there's nothing new, no inspiration, goes by. I've invested 2 years, I maybe even took a loan, and what do I have left now? Only to constantly make sure I'm in anxiety for no one to bump into me. And what do I have as a result? It's the same with everything, meaning the deficiency, immediately that it gets the fulfillment, it goes by. And the greater the desires, they immediately go away, like sex, which it says that that is the basis of all pleasures, instantaneously goes away. And again, we need something. So maybe I'll eat something. So maybe I'll watch television. So maybe this, maybe that. Where is the most lengthy pleasure? Through social connection. There the pleasure is the lengthiest. And even ceaseless. It only goes and grows. This is something very special that exists in the social fulfillment with respect to all the rest of the fulfillments, because in a social fulfillment I always have an innovation that comes to me and can come to me even if I am as if satiated every time there comes an innovation to fill myself by something else through the environment together with the fulfillment, and there is no reason for it to go by. This is a special pleasure which we have from connection. And all the rest of the pleasures are pleasures that must go by, otherwise I can't keep it, hold it. It, how to say, disappears, and if it doesn't disappear, I even reject it, sort of. You're a psychologist, you understand. Maybe I don't exactly find the words. All the pleasures that come through our will to receive, they always disappear, and we have to renew them and fill them up, and all that comes on a very short and limited fashion. A pleasure that comes through the will to bestow, which is connection in society where I donate and they donate and so on. We create between ourselves a ceaseless storage of abundance, meaning in feeling. That feeling fills everyone up and gives everyone the sense of health and security and calmness, which is something ceaseless because it's not in the will to receive but in the will to bestow. And therefore here we are reaching a completely different level of existence. I'll give you one more sentence. Money can buy everything. Money buys everything. True. In our world, money does buy everything besides, well, relatively, besides health, besides, let's say, loyalty, trustfulness, And besides how to say, besides the control over the angel of death. All the rest, it does. So, in this new way of thinking, what do I need? To still think that money buys everything, both in that new form of thinking? No, here I can explain it as well, but we're already crossing into a mystical level, kind of. That by instead of covering by money, instead of money, I cover deficiencies in my attitude. Therefore, there is nothing to say here about loyalty. That goes without saying. Besides the loyalty for, there is love here. There is different things that develop by this attitude. All these things, all the deficiencies and the fulfillments that were hidden by money and never reached neither revelation nor concealment. I don't get it. It's loyalty, love, and freedom from the angel of death. Meaning, instead of money buys everything, money buys loyalty, love, and freedom. This is my heartly attitude. Buys and gives to others trustfulness, love, and freedom from the angel of death. Okay, one more sentence that many said. Money gives me security. This is the old way of thinking, and the new way of thinking, nothing. What kind of a security does it give you? This is how we think. No. We see what happens with the rich and what happens to people. No way, it doesn't buy any security. And even furthermore, I'm all the time in lack of security because I don't know where to invest it, how to protect it. And even if I lose, I don't know, 1% from the billions that I have, I'm already maybe in a kind of, I got a heart attack. Meaning it's the very opposite. The more I have, the more concerned I am. It doesn't give me confidence, it gives me the lack of confidence. The most secure thing is the Mexican sitting under his cactus or something. He has nothing to lose. It's not in vain that it said that a poor person on the street, he doesn't care he doesn't care about anything. He is free. He doesn't care what's the time. He doesn't have to be anywhere. He doesn't need nothing. He's free. And the richest people, it seems to us so that they're free, but they have the greatest concerns, what to do about all their money and how to fill their time. There are those that are completely disconnected from any care and concern. So what do I do with myself? So for half a year they go into sea with the yacht and what? We see that from this life that it's therefore for sure that it doesn't give you security. Money doesn't give you any security. I'm talking about a particular person. I'm not talking about a country and so on. For a particular person, it doesn't give you security. His personal feeling that maybe he has, that maybe he can care for his, that it can cover his security, but on the other hand, he is in constant concern how not to lose. And therefore, the poor person, in this respect, he is free. I don't have anything, and that's that. So what can give security according to the new way of thinking? Only the environment, only. Tomorrow they'll come and hang that rich person, or who knows what's going to happen in some place with his money. And if now he buys gold or Picasso or whatever and keeps it someplace, so what? The next day it's worthless. It's not simple. It's not simple, and the truth is that the inner feeling is anxiety. Anxiety. How all inflated and pompous they are in constant concern. I have a few more such sentences. Go on. You don't take love, you don't pay with love in the supermarket. True, you don't pay with love in the supermarket because love, we're talking on a human level, on the level of man, and the supermarket is the place where we buy food for our animalistic body. So don't confuse with these two levels. We have to give the animalistic body what it needs. If there is no money, there is no love, or if there's this verse in Hebrew, no flour, no Torah. But with money, you can't cover for love. In our world, what we mean by love, then you can go out into the street and buy anyone, obviously. But when we speak about love, it's bestowal, where you can be like a baby in the hands of your mom and get this kind of treatment from the environment. That's called love. Did you ever see this happen in life? I felt it. From the environment? No, from my mom. From your mom. We're talking from the environment. From the environment, no. That's called love. From mom, obviously. From mom, it's naturally. It's also on the animalistic level, but if we're talking on the human level, for society to treat us that way, that we can really be like a baby in the hands of society, to feel this attitude from them. That's called love. It's not sex. That is love. Is there such a thing? Can you buy that for money? No. You can't buy love with money. Even if you cover for 1,000 supermarkets where they won't help. This expression that with love you can't buy at the supermarket, that's the idea that it's great being nice to each other and so on, but eventually with that I can't pay for my basic needs. Yeah, but we're not talking about love then. Okay, so you're saying that that's the basis. The definition of love is like I said. And or even more, love, it means my bestowal onto others, that I want to get their deficiencies and fulfill them. Money gives me freedom. It causes me to be independent and free. Independence we buy not by being able to fulfill my needs and every time new ones, and then the money will every time fulfill for my new deficiencies. I am free when I'm not inside the deficiencies, but I'm above them. That means the right cover. We call it masach, screen. In simple Hebrew, please, can you repeat that sentence? Freedom, money gives you freedom and independence. If I am the owner of a bank, and everything that I want I can cover by that bank, I'm not free. I have deficiencies, and the bank I cover the deficiencies through the bank. I'm not free. I'm constantly in this action covering for deficiencies by money. But if I will be above the deficiencies, that I won't feel them, that I don't need the money either. What do you mean that you don't need anything? Suppose that I don't feel deficiencies, and then I don't need money. I don't need this constant act of covering and covering, meaning that if we are in our will to receive, then I have to fill, I have to fulfill. I need the money in order to fill the will to receive, the fulfillment. I don't need then the money, the food, sex, family, health, whatever I need for that. If I'm above my will to receive, where I am, suppose, in a society where all of us are truly connected and all of us provide each other with all that is necessary, then I am in a state where I do not live my deficiencies but the deficiencies of others, and then this way I don't feel that I'm lacking money in order to fill myself up. I fill others up and they fill me up. If we live this way, I don't feel deficiencies. I am above them. I am in this special care for everyone, and everyone cares for me. And by that I feel free, because the same way I care for others, the others care for the same thing for me. And then we don't feel ourselves pressured by the feeling of deficiency, and then we are truly free. So freedom, it's to be free of my desire, above my desire. Sure. And independence. Independence as well. I'm independent of it. What am I independent of? Otherwise, I'm constantly its slave, the slave of my desire. We have to finish because our time is up for this conversation. Thank you very much, Dr. Laitman. Thank you very much, Nitsa. Thank you very much for being with us. We'll continue on our future conversations. Till then, all the best and goodbye.